So welcome, everyone. We are thrilled to be here together. This is our first time doing a video like this together, and we want to share with you an amazing event we're putting together on April 16th from 12 to 5 in Braintree, Mass. And I want to share with you a little bit why I put this special event together. I have worked with Scarlett at least 2 other times, both in a conference together and also hosting her at the center because of her beautiful story. And Mary, I actually read her book and didn't know that Scarlett and Mary knew each other. And I believe that we all have a message to share about love and healing and awakening. And I said, I need to bring all 3 of us together, 3 messengers of love. And so I really felt that when I read Mary's book about awakening, I've been on that journey. And Scarlett, when she comes to speak, people are transformed and they really awaken their heart and they heal. And everybody said after the November event, we need Scarlett to come back and talk more. So I want to just briefly have both of them share what they're going to speak about and how they're going to transform your heart and your lives. So Mary, do you want to go first?
Sure, why not? First of all, hi to both of you and hi to everyone listening in on this podcast. At the event, I'm going to talk about and share my spiritual awakening, which happened many years ago in the 80s. And it was a time where I was in tremendous grief and tremendous despair. I was in a life crisis. And I called out to God and I said, God, I didn't even know if I believed in God, but I called out to God and I said, just let me die. I can't take this anymore. And at that moment, everything in the room became very still. And this light entered the room and began to speak to me. And I realized that it was the Master Jesus. And the first thing he talked to me about was forgiveness. He spoke about this radical forgiveness. And he let me see how to apply it to my life and how to understand it. So he downloaded his understanding of forgiveness into me. He spoke 7 different revelations, and another one was about the ego and judgment. And he explained to me how self-forgiveness, judgment, and ego were all related. And he had me apply it to my life at that time. And then he opened me up into this divine love within me and allowed me to see it everywhere outside me. And from that time on, I had to apply these teachings that he gave me. And it took me many years to understand, first of all, what had happened to me, because I had no one around me who ever spoke about these kind of mystical experiences or awakenings. So it took many, many years of applying these teachings. And then I happened to meet a monk who gave me another initiation into deeper consciousness. And I experienced self-realization. And then I went on to experience my own death while awake, while sitting on a bench at MIT where I worked. So it was that linchpin of forgiveness that really allowed me to open and to become freer from the ego, which is just filled with so much self-shame and self-blame. And it opened me up into this divine love, into this world inside me that I never knew existed, where you could be free of the ego and open up to your true divine powerful wisdom and nature that lives in you and lives in everyone in equal fashion. And I'm going to talk about the different gateways we can use, very simple things we can do to open and build a bridge from the suffering ego and blame and shame, and build a bridge to this divinity that lives in us as us, and to live in peace and harmony inside of ourselves, and to create that very simply in our families, with ourselves, with the community, and bring in these new paradigms that are coming in. This is a year of tremendous awakening, 2016. and it's being spoken about by all the great teachers in the world. And so that's what I would love to sharing my experience and helping us all build a bridge from that suffering ego into this divine awakening, and out of that suffering and into love and eternal bliss that we truly are, and to change our own world and the world by doing so.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now you guys can see why I had to have Mary come. And Scarlett, please share your beautiful message with everyone.
Well, and thank you so much, Karen. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how I know Mary. Karen, you and I have worked together before. I met Mary at a Wayne Dyer conference in Miami. Was it 3 years ago? Maui.
Yes.
Maui.
Like Miami.
That's right. You've been to so many places, Scarlett.
I got the country right. And I had a terrible headache. And I never get headaches. I had a pounding, splitting headache. And I had just met Mary, and we were walking out with Wayne, and I happened to mention to Mary, I have this terrible headache. I think I'm going to have to go back into my room and lay down. And she said, well, I'm a naturopath, and I have a remedy for that if you would trust me and you want to come to my room. And I said, anything to help me, and went with Mary. She gave me a remedy, which happened to be just a tiny little, white round grain. And I brought it back to my room, and I took it. And that night, I slept like a baby, and I had just incredible, beautiful, inspired, awakened dreams. And the next morning I woke up and it was completely gone. And this had been something that had been plaguing me for a little while. So I just fell in love with her then. And since then she's written this absolutely beautiful book with a foreword by Wayne Dyer. And so we were sisters in that way. But what I'm going to talk about is my experience. And of course, my 6-year-old son, Jesse Lewis, was murdered at Sandy Hook Elementary on December 14th, 2012. And the lessons that I've learned since then, the post-traumatic growth that I've experienced. I think everyone's heard of post-traumatic stress disorder, but in reality, only 3% of the population suffer from that. The vast majority of us, having gone through any type of difficulty, suffering, up to extreme trauma, experience something called post-traumatic growth. And that's when we grow from our experiences, when we find strength we never knew, when we find meaning in our suffering, when we develop a purpose, we strengthen relationships. There's a whole list of benefits. And so I think even setting the intention of that, of this new term, post-traumatic growth, and the fact that you obviously can't always choose what happens to you. I would never choose something like that happening to my son or myself or my surviving son, but you can always choose how you respond. And days later, after the murder, I found a message that Jesse had left on our kitchen chalkboard. He had written 3 words: nurturing, healing, love. Now, those 3 words are not in the vernacular of a 6-year-old. They're not something that a 6-year-old would normally say. People have asked, did you walk around saying those things? No, I've never strung those 3 words together in my life, I can assure you. They were phonetically spelled because he was in 1st grade and just learning to write. But, and I saw those. I knew that he had a spiritual awareness that he was not going to be on earth for very much longer. And I knew that those 3 words were a message of comfort for his family and friends, but I also knew that it was meant as inspiration for the world. I knew instinctively that if our shooter had had access to nurturing, healing love, that the tragedy would never have happened. And as it turns out, those three words are in the definition of compassion across all cultures. And when you break down the meaning of those three words, it is a powerful and profound formula for choosing love, and has led so many people around the world to choose love in their own lives. So I will talk about that formula, and just talk about how you can transform your own life. And I'll also talk about forgiveness, reaffirming what Mary said about forgiveness. I chose fairly quickly to forgive the man who murdered my son, and all the things that I learned about forgiveness, because we don't talk about forgiveness. We don't teach it. I've been to church my whole life. I didn't know anything about forgiveness, and everything that I learned about that, and how it transformed my life, and how it helped me become part of the solution instead of just another victim. So I'm really excited. Karen, your audiences are always so loving and so supportive, and so interested and interesting themselves. Yeah. So I'm really excited for this event.
Yeah. It's really going to be amazing. You can just hear it from both your passion and your love and your mission, and I just admire that in both of you. And I know, for me, I'm going to close the day with talking about awakening your divine self from within. And I'm drawn to both of their messages because for me, I feel like my journey is really strong and forward in how can I shift my world and the world from the inside out. And I truly believe this is a time, as Mary talked about it, that we have potential to awaken our divine self in this human experience, and to choose love, to choose purpose, to choose freedom, to not wait for things to change outside of us, but to create the change from within, or empower ourselves from within. And so I always love doing a very powerful meditation to let your divine self lead you to that awakening, and to call on our support, our spiritual family, to support us. Before we came on this call, we called on Wayne, we called on Jesse, Jesus and Mary, and all our spiritual helpers, because we feel they're a part of this event. And we don't have to walk the journey alone, and we can ask for help, and we can really transform what we want to change in the world. Everybody is seeing things we want to change in the world. And, and Scarlett, you are so, just in your mission to do that. And I've seen all your posts about how you're going to all parts of the world to bring transformation. And Jesse was the light igniting that, but you took the light and you brought it forward. We all have that light within us. And it's time to wake up. It's time to use that enlightenment within us. So for me, I feel that's my purpose, my mission now, and to bring people like Mary and Scarlett together, because we need to co-create at this time too. Not only with spirit, but we need to co-create on a human level. So I really want to thank both of you for saying yes. This was so easy to put together, and we're calling all those that are ready to awaken, to heal, to release the ego, and to forgive and experience freedom through forgiveness. I really believe that that's the outcome, is to experience love and freedom. So join us, please. We're going to give you the link to sign up. Bring a friend. You get to save $10 each and bring in a friend. And we feel that this is going to be an amazing day of transformation. You'll never forget. They have been before, and this is no different than any other. We just have new co-creators bringing it forth. So thank you both for sharing your message. And I'm just so excited for the day to come and for all you that are going to co-create with us. All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Karen.
you.
Blessings.
You too.